Okay, so I'm going to start off by talking to you about labelling. If you look at any pieces of packaging, you will notice that there are various different labels on the packaging. Now, these labels are to inform the customer or user how to use the product effectively. We often see that we share information such as length of use. So, for example, you might have best before dates or use by dates. And in the case of cosmetics, you also have little symbols that tell you how long that you can safely use this product for. You might also have information about size and dimensions or measurements and weights. And you might also have environmental labelling about recycling or material disposal. All of this is basically a foundation of advice of how to use your product properly and to make sure that you get the most out of it. You'll also see that a lot of the labelling is actually in the form of pictures. This is because they are universal languages, so pictograms or ideograms will be recognised no matter what country you are in. So that means that even if you don't speak the language or you can't read, you can have an understanding of what you need to do to use your product effectively. This is very often shown if you look at care symbols on clothes. They will be giving you advice on how to make sure that you get the longest use possible out of your clothing. So the next thing we're going to talk about is food labelling. Very recently, food labelling became a legal requirement for the retailer. On your all food packaging, you have to have information on calories, fats, salts and sugars. That's because it's a social requirement. When we talk about social, moral, environmental issues, this falls under the social issue. That's because these four things can lead to ill health. So, for example, if you have too much salt in your diet, it can lead to heart disease. That means that we are informing our consumers how to lead a healthy lifestyle. Also, obviously, you also have to have best before and use by dates. Now, they are completely different. A use by date will tell you when the product will become stale and will not be able to be edible anymore. But best before is an indication of when the food will be best to consume by. It doesn't mean that after that period of time the food will be inedible. Now, best before quite often is shown on tins, on labelling for things like baked beans. That means that they have quite long shelf life, so they can last up to 3 years, and then we would assume that they wouldn't be so good. But however, if you were to open up a can of beans that was older than about 3 years, it would still be edible, although probably not that tasty. Okay, another example of labelling on packaging that we quite often see is the little green tree with a tick next to it, which is from the Forestry Stewardship Council. Now, this is an international non-governmental organisation that ensures that when trees are cut down, especially softwood trees, that they are replanted. It's an environmental concern that allows forestry management and the sustainability of our ecosystems. This links very nicely to sustainability and recycling. Now, obviously, when we are talking about packaging, quite a lot of that is disposable after one use. So we need to make sure that what we are doing is producing our packaging from sustainable and recyclable materials. Now, quite often these would be paperboard and card, and as we know, we need to know quite a lot about paperboard and card. So a sustainable item is normally from a renewable resource, such as trees. We also use quite a lot of materials from non-renewable sources, such as the plastics, which come from oils. It's our responsibility as individuals to ensure that our products and our packaging are recycled in line with legislation. Now, recently in Hackney, we have started recycling. So you're now asked to divide up your waste. So a lot of the time, food waste will go into a separate container so that it can be composted, and your paper and your plastics are then sent to a recycling unit.